is how you make the fruit fall. If you make as many people know that there's a lot of injustice happening, our rights are not. See, Peter, I saw today the president with writing to the peace speaker that, you know, IBC vetted. We don't have IBC commissioners. We don't have them. But he says IBC vetted whatever. It is just, what is that? It is, I don't know whether these people have legal minds around them or they're just doing things. But when citizens understand those kind of things are happening in our country, they are enlightened. In fact, the best weapon that we first give the citizens is information. That is the best weapon that we first need to give all the citizens. Information. Information is power. This statement is not just a statement. So therefore, there is no better way of raising concerns as citizens other than, there's no better way of starting to defend yourselves as citizens other than raising these concerns and talking about them. Well, it is a cliche even that the first way to solving a problem is talking about it. That's a cliche. It is general knowledge that people know that the first way to solve a problem is talking about it. So when we talk about these problems, we are not whining. We know what we are doing. We are trying to persuade each other every day until we all sail in the same direction. With that, Peter, it is that made majority of Kenyans leave their homes on 25th to go to parliament. Nobody told people to go to parliament because of just going. No, it was a procedure. People, we went to these protests several times, and people saw the importance of going to these streets, and people saw how we were united, and people saw how we were deplatforming the leaders, and people saw that people was persuaded this is the right course, and everybody spoke the same language for once. And in fact, the president said in his speech, I concede. I concede. Can we make him say I concede again? Yes, we can. How? I think for me that somehow we deviated and started calling the big guns. We started talking about the big guns. Ruto must go. I feel that there we deviated. Hitting them, hitting him on issues, on policies, is lack of public trust. When he brings policies and we bring down all the policies that he brings, that is one way of making him go. When he brings Sandani and we make it fall, it is one way of making him go. When he brings Shisha and we bring it down, it is one way of making him go. There's no president that you will remove from office with protests, just mere protest. It took a lot for Bangladesh to fall. It can happen, yes. It can happen. I'm not going to discredit. It can happen. It can happen. It requires a lot as well. But also we must be alive to the fact that sometimes not every scenario will be the same. We cannot be like Bangladesh, but we cannot fail to try as well. We should try. But we should also look for a way, because, I mean, change is inevitable. People say that they now know that we hold spaces and they also join spaces. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But that does not stop us. Let them know that we are talking about these issues. Let them know that we are planning to go to the streets. Let them stay and block the roads and let the police protest on their own. It is part of protest for us. That is a win for me. When they blocked everybody to go from getting out on Nane Nane, they blocked the entire city. That is a win for me. If we do that often, it is a win. We have right now a constitution that gives us this as a right to go and protest. During Moi regime, during Moi era, that was not there. But did people protest? Yes. Were people killed? Yes. But these protests are also the same things that made Moi repeal Section 2A of the Constitution. In the build-up to that, Moi continuously lost his legitimacy. In the build-up to that, I can say that Moi was defeated in 2002. I mean, Of course, not typically, but yes, he was defeated because his candidate was defeated in 2002. And that is just fact. Even though Uhuru came again, ruled. I mean, that is there. But the general idea is that he was defeated. So in the same effect, can we do something? Can we do something? Doing something is, we are here now talking about issues. That is doing something. It is one step. The second step is actioning. The third step is now consistency. And all this also calls for unity as a people. But discrediting a revolution is discrediting confidence, and you cannot discredit confidence. I mean, people always say you cannot stop an idea whose time has come. It is not just a say. Actually, you can't. So it is not whining, Pipita, and I hate when someone says it is whining. It is not whining. And there's no one who has monopoly for information. There's no one who has monopoly for knowledge. Hakuna mtu akona monopoly for knowledge. If you think you have monopoly for knowledge, that is in itself foolishness. I'm sorry, I used that term. Thank you, Pipita.
Thank you so much, The Real Joe, for that. And of course, as I said, when you come to the mic, make sure when you say Article 16, don't think you're talking to lawyers. Wengine wetu, we only lied to our parents. We wanted to be lawyers so that they get out of our hair. Yeah, but we didn't even have any interest in law. But yes, so I have the Jamu here with us. How are you doing, Jamu? Who replies?
Niko poa Pipicha, how are you?
I am well. Karibu kwenye show.
Asante sana. I'm listening to The Real Joe, and not only his words, but his tone and the agitation with it and the passion, and really appreciating it. The oversimplification ati ku protest ni kuwain is extremely unfortunate, but of course presented as an intellectual statement, but it's just pseudo-intellectual. We do need to activate our citizenship. And activating our citizenship is sometimes defining what our problems are. I mean, getting as close to a consensus as possible and organizing, mobilizing, and agitating for those things that we need to see happen. Hii wiki imekuwa ngumu. On all fronts. Of course, what happened in Parliament, I think at this point, we need to look at ourselves in the mirror and remind ourselves 3 times a day we are living in an unmitigated dictatorship. Not because of Gachagua. Gachagua is definitely not a saint, but the stranglehold that the president has on both houses of parliament is absolutely nuts. Nilikuwa kwa space where 2 Ugandan people happened to show up. I don't know if they were invited, they just happened to be there. And they requested the mic and they spoke very passionately. Wakasema, manze, vile tulikuwa tumeona protests Kenya, tulikuwa tumefurahia. Sisi pia na sisi tukapata nguvu, tukatoka kwa streets. You may remember at the height of protests Kenya, this thing was spreading across Africa. There were even fununus that this could be the next, I'm going to call it Arab Spring. I don't necessarily like the term, but whatever. Yeah, walikuwa wamepata nguvu, and they were out to protest, and they felt like this revolution could spread across East Africa. As soon as moto ilizimika kidogo hapa Kenya, naye Bwana Museveni came down hard on them. Yes, because they had dared kutoa their heads up, and what they were warning us, what was telling us, hey, munadhania ati Ruto ni Idi Amin. No, Ruto is worse than that. Ni Museveni. I guess because of our socialization, we have always thought Idi Amin was worse. And they told us that, hey, the way Museveni has been able to maintain stranglehold on this country ni kukua ni capture institutions. And one of those men was saying, amekuwa kwa hiyo country for I mean, Museveni has been in power for 40 years, came into power when he was 20, and he was feeling like his entire life has been wasted living in that country. I'm looking at our country and thinking, man, I don't have children, but if we don't, if nothing changes now, um, this unmitigated dictatorship might go on for, till kingdom come. And so I think one of the wonderful things about these spaces and our continued assembly in various fora uh, is to 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 get a sense of the urgency of the matter, because maybe some of us are just thinking, ni politicians wanakuanga hivyo, but we are slowly, I mean, I don't think it's slowly, we are quickly sliding into what I see, I think already as an unmitigated dictatorship that just needs a couple of years to take root. um, how we deal with that, I don't know. I think protest is one, but I think it might end up being something like guerrilla warfare. It might end up having to be something more than just. I don't think a flag and a bottle of water will do at some point. We might need to apply pressure on all fronts, including internationally, because if we don't do that, I mean, yeah. Anyway, strategy. Maybe this is not the forum for Kuongelelea strategy, but at the moment, I think I'm just wanting to point out that we're in deep trouble. Now, there are people who will take advantage of the situation that we find ourselves in, because all of us, many of us are suffering, and so there will be messiahs who will show up and tell us, "Mimi ni mimi nitawakomboa." Uh, and actually, when George was talking about the Kamalas and the Obamas um, and the Al Sharptons, um, I'm thinking to myself, I think one way to Tajikomboa is to move away from personalities, because many of these personalities just want to replace the current oppressor. They don't mind the system. They don't mind things as they are. They just want to be the ones that they just want it to be their turn to eat. Um, and so I think our fixation on leadership as something that is contained in leaders, as opposed to leadership as a concept, I think is our undoing. We will have a lot of people wanakuja na maneno matamu, alafu all of a sudden we have I'm seeing generals huku X wakifaitia mtu, huyu ni mtu wa integrity, unadhania tutapata leaders aje, if we keep fighting all these leaders. And I'm thinking, ulijua aje ni wa integrity? Just because I came and told you mimi ni wa integrity, that's enough? Like I always tell people, don't believe my words, watch my record, interrogate my actions, lakini because we're in that place of chaos and confusion, there are people who will take advantage. Watatuambia tutoe pesa ya kupeleka civic education mashinani, because civic education inafanana na campaign, and we will quickly buy that bullshit. And there will be a lot of people who will fight any semblance of critical thinking. Anyway, I feel like I'm speaking cryptically. Lakini, cha muhimu, I guess the most important point for me is to say, to use these words za sauti sol, tujiangalie, like tuko pabaya. The situation we find ourselves in is not a joke, and we can have small disagreements happen pale, lakini we are in a serious we're in serious trouble. The world, unfortunately, does not mind an African country going to the dogs. It doesn't. Like, that's not a problem. Kutakuwa na Marshall Plan for Germany and other places, but an African country going to the dogs, they don't care. In fact, if you look all over the world, we have lots of basket cases. We have normalized it. In fact, the international community plays a big part in making us basket cases. Nobody is coming to save us. So whatever we need to do, there might be a forum to talk about what we need to do, but any action towards liberation, I think, is an action we need to support. Nitamalizia hapo picha.
Asante sana Jamu for that. I'd seen George alikuwa ameinua mkono juu. We are at 8:30. We are about half an hour towards the top of the hour. I'll give guys a round of submissions because we started home run late. Mi napenda kuwa honest. Mbona nyinyi hamtakangi kunipatianga off days? But anyway, this being the last day of the week, of course, thank you so much for being here. We are on the town hall. The Kenya I want. We used to have relationship talks on Fridays, but look at what Ruto has turned us to. Love doctors and now giving people campaign advice. George, do you have you had a rebuttal or what? Hello? All right. Looks like we have lost George. Luka Matoke, can you get me? Allah. Bwana Luka, are you there? Western Shilaho, are you there? Is it me? Ama ni mimi ndo nimepotea kwa network?
Hujapotea.
Mike inachagua ni nani aongee leo. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, we have been very, 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 very engaged this week with matters, the impeachment. And as you've heard, everybody's talking about issues of taking action, being out there. Nimesikia Jamhuri akiongelea storia, getting leaders. And this issue of leadership has become a very pertinent issue when it comes to this thing that people call the movement. Apparently, the Gen Z movement was named out by the one and only former deputy president, Bwana Rigathi Gachagua. Yeah. We didn't have a name. And then somebody also mentioned that the formless, shapeless, whatever, was also brought up by him. And that is why probably they thought he had also a hand in it. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. That it came from him bana. Sasa mimi nashanga kwani sisi tulikuwa tunafanya nini hapo? And also, as you've heard, leaders right now, Morara Kebaso is saying that he's going to Narok, and guys had already planned to go to Uhuru Park, and it has become an issue on the internet because now people are wondering what is happening here in the middle of all these. I don't know if you guys have something to say about that. The real Joe, because I've heard what Jamhuri has said about mambo ya leaders and how we treat them and people and their interests. What do you have to say on all this?
Pipita, you know, a movement that only merely moves people is a revolt. A movement that changes people and institutions is a revolution. Martin Luther King said that. When you try to just to see in a movement, I mean that's even the whole purpose of it. That's even where the word the definition comes from. It's a movement. When you decide that you want to do it on your own and you want to take all the credit for it, red flags. When you decide to go against the interests of people, that's a red flag. It means when you get now to the helm of it, you'll be doing exact same thing. We saw these same red flags in William Ruto, but people just ignored and just still gave him a chance. It is not, for me, Pipita, I have said this several times, and I will say, and I say it whether people like it or not, whether watu watanipenda, wata-unfollow, that is just up to you. Morara does not, for me, he does not check the boxes. The leadership test for me, the boxes that I've put there, I cannot check even one for now. And I'm not giving him, I'm not putting him, throwing him under the bus. For now, he needs to do more for me. And that is what I would wish to convince Kenyans. Set your bar high moving forward. Don't play with anybody and feel some pity for anyone. No. You pity them, they take up these positions, they throw you under the bus. Throw them under the bus before they throw you under the bus. Set your bus very high. Don't just, oh, he's a young person. Check, he's my leader. Oh, he's able to stand on top of a vehicle and call people and call for a rally. Check, he's my leader. No. Put the right boxes to be ticked. Set the bar so high that he needs to meet the very, very high bars that you've set. And when he meets them, give him his dues. But it is not about just giving. I mean, it is, for me, you have to change both the people and the institution. And changing the people is the mindset, changing their mindset, giving them the right information. Not just, I mean, you see, and Morara actually, it is actually our problem. He was joking, by the way. He was shooting content. He was imitating the president. He was playing, and we decided to take him seriously. That's what I think. And I'm not discrediting him, but I feel like we pushed him too far. And if he feels like he's up there right now and he can dine with the big boys, I mean, we still have a long way to go. We need to do more. We need to do more. We need to do more. So it's not just, and him making it about him, that is also my problem. It's my problem. Why does he have to make it about him? When he goes online, he says, now just a young man saying, I'm going this direction, everybody is whining. He's always making it about him. About him. That is a big red flag. He doesn't tick the boxes. So you want me to leave ODM, a party that I've supported for years, and I want to replace ODM, yes. And you want me to replace with Inject Party, Morara. But now you guys give me a better person, give me a better deal. Morara does not meet any qualification that you can tell me to replace ODM right now. Sijatoka ODM, but I'm looking for a better party. I'm losing. Yes.
Sorry to interject, Kidogo. So that we don't make this about Morara, I think you've made your point about sticking to the issues. I'm just interjecting so that we don't slide into kind of personality, if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you. I stand guided. But again, leadership is all about personalities. We have to talk about them. But anyway, I stand guided. But just to land my point, right now, I think our only hope, and I'll borrow this from Martin Luther King. I like to follow his quotes a lot. Our only hope lies in our ability to recapture this revolution spirit and go back into sometimes the hostile world and declaring internal hostility to these politicians. We need to go back to deplatforming them. We need to declare internal hostility
1 minute.
to them. We need to do that and recapture the spirit of this revolution. Thank you. Let me land.
Najua nitaanza kubehave kama venye Senate walikuwa wanafanya. You know, I've been watching the mic controllers of Senate very carefully because siku moja labda naweza jipata hapo clerk of the bunge. You know what I'm saying? So nilikuwa naona vile wanaongea. Ukiongea beyond time unasikia tu mic yako imeenda. So I'm gonna give you 3 minutes. I have to break for the weekend, guys. I've done over 40 hours of spaces this week. I need to just go and relax. So I'm gonna time you guys at least 3 minutes each to tukielekea kumaliza. The show ends at 9, but I'm going to listen to everybody who's on the mic right now. George, in 3 minutes, do you have a rebuttal or something? Ni kama nimepoteza George. Let us go to justice for all. Justice for all. Ala. Health Data Manager, Opio Ouma. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here, sir. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
I can hear you. Talk to me.
Thank you, Pipita, for this occasion. But I just want to go directly to the point that one of the speakers are just deliberated a little bit conscious by beginning the two phrases up there, but then we are losing our focus going into maybe trying to make it so vivid. So in this capacity, I believe as youth, as a movement, we only remain with one thing. We must go to the ground. All these politicians who are disturbing us today, they went to the ground. They stole our future. They stole our thoughts. They stole our ideas. And now they are controlling us. But if we are going to continue blackmailing each other, that we are going to be on spaces, and then we still fight those already rolling it to the ground, we are going nowhere. We must go to the ground, period. We must meet the Kenyan people. We must feel their problems down there. We must make them pay attention to us. We must make them realize that we are there for them. We must make them understand that we are meaning something in 2027. And in all that process, it is beyond these candid discussions at the spaces. I want to conclude by saying, David Ndii once said a very good phrase, that in this government, they believe that the majority are the ignorant people. The minority are the elites who are here on spaces. So they are going to bribe the majority, to make them win the next election. If you're not going to go faster beyond them and capture these people, just like some other teams that I've seen doing there, and you can see government has started harassing them because they have realized they are waking fools from their sleeping slumber, where their spirit and their strength has been residing. Otherwise, I believe that as Kenyan people, let us go to the ground.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Health Data Manager, for that submission. I see Joy. I'm going to join up and Danny. How are you doing, Joy? Joy, are you there? Unmute your mic, Joy, if you can hear me. Ni kama ni watu wakiingia kwa speaker wanisikia nini? Yeah.
Hi. Hi,
Hi.
Peter. Sorry. Sikuwa nasikia, I was driving. Yeah.
Oh, pole.
Yeah, I was just about to hear about someone who just said about, I don't know. The thing is, people been dividing. Yani, someone goes to the ground and does the real thing, but a lot of people hapo tu ni kuongea, sijui you want to take the leader, sijui the leader has to be this. Hata wewe go to the ground, fanya hivyo, hata kukaa tu. You're just waiting for that person, just putting the ticks, you know? It doesn't work out like that. Just like Nani said, that guy, Opio, people need to do something. Huwezi kaa tu hapo kwa nini kwa keyboard hapo, you're just ticking. Oh, this leader doesn't have that. No, that doesn't work. It does not work. People have to go kwa ground, wafanye vile Morara anafanya. Waache kushinda tu hapo wakifight. That's nonsense, you know? We are going nowhere. Niyo tu for now. I need to, kuna kitu nafanya hapa hivi.
All right. Thank you for that, Joy. I may have to set point of order. Naambia mnakuanga wakali. Sasa niulize, mmeamua mimi basi nifunge spaces akili. Kila mtu anasema don't come to spaces, Opio, don't come to spaces and talk. Oh, George, don't come to spaces and talk. Mnataka nikule nini wadau? Honestly. Sasa tuongee sasa Wakenya kwa Wakenya. Mnataka nikule nini? Nisipowafungulia radio show to negotiate juu mimi nifungue space niwape topic muongee mjuane mfunzane alafu mweke tip hapo, lakini sasa mkisema tusikuja hapa kwa space mnamaanisha nini ukweli hivi? Na ndo mnatuita nigger class. Nyaradwen. Hi.
Pipi, how are you?
I am well. Yourself?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your sacrifices and commitment and everybody who's in here. Now, I just got up for two things. Number one is we have realized, and it is evident, that Gachagua impeachment proceedings have literally exposed Parliament as an institution available for hire and control. And you know what that does? This means it demeans our institutions and the entire arm of government. The case here is at the courts right now, but let's see, because even that court, when I talk institutions, then it's evident that there's not much that we can achieve. Number two that I wanted us to discuss is we did shoot ourselves in the foot. How do we shoot ourselves on the foot? I believe in hiding close. And by the way, politics is difficult. I have ever vied on the ground. It is not, when I was going to vie, I had these, grandiose kind of projects in my head that I wanted to do just to change the livelihood of my people. Because at that point, I was more of, like for me, I have my food. I can go to the best hospital in the world. But I have people who are my blood back at home who do not have the privileges that I have. And I'm like, I have this opportunity and I have the networks to pull the strings so that I am able to bring not only the exchequer's money, but also some proper funding that is gonna bring a difference. And I had that idea when I was, my dear, by the time you get on that ground, I am telling you for free. In fact, people will tell you, ma'am, hey, Marai ni wewe tu, it is only you. Ni wewe tu, eh? And you get carried away like, people love me, they mean well. When it comes to elections, it's a totally different thing. How did we shoot ourselves on the foot? We shot ourselves on the foot by showing our clothes. We know Pipita is the one leading us, and Pipita is trust me, the more your clothes are opened, they'll be clipped by the who is who in government. You will be clipped. The best thing to do is to hide your clothes. Yes, I am of the opinion that we cannot continue being formless, leaderless, and the many lessons that we are. But we can have a leader who is not interested in politics, but more of a revolutionary, more of somebody who's able to create a movement. But when we pick Pipita and Pipita goes through with us and Pipita is trying to, he's going to be picked and we are going to back to the same scenario. So my point is, even if you are a leader, even if you have those aspirations, this is not the time. This is not the time to come out. Right now, we have a bigger giant. And you know what pains me most? What makes me really cry? We know nothing. So when it comes to elections, is a different thing. It's not the sycophancy, it's not the name calling, the fame and elections are two different things. Kwanza, there's rigging, there's so many things. There's a lot that needs to be done for you to get that seat. And therefore, those who are planning to vie and wants to lead the I call it Gen K, Generation Kenya. For me, Gen Z helped us to a certain level, but now it has to be Gen K. So that is all I wanted to say, Peter.
Nyaradwen, kwani ulipata kura ngapi? Tuseme tu kweli, apart from yako.
First, one thing you have to know, Peter, one thing you have to know is people, you're never won. Bora umesimama ulishinda. That's number one. Huwa tunashinda. But anyway, I was number 2. And I am proud I was number 2 against ODM as an independent. I went as an independent and I became number 2, but I still feel kura zangu ziliibwa na watu wa ODM. Did I answer you?
Hata mimi nakusupport. Unajua hata mimi nimeona hata venye umeongea walikudanganya, honestly. Pole. Hiyo ndo kitu moja inanifanya nachukia siasa. People really know they do not love you. They are not going to give you and you know, I gave people a chance here last Tuesday. Nikaambia watu kujeni hapa muongee if you want to be a politician. I think I had only 2-3 people and one was someone who was a former aspirant in Kibera. Na akakuja akatuambia hapa hivi alipigwa panga. You know, hiyo ndo siku niliacha kuwa mwanasiasa. Acha tu nibaki kwa redio niwasomeange habari. Western Shilaho, you have 3 minutes to react. If you talk to us.
Peter, I just want to begin from where Nyara to left. One, I'll give us as homework, because I've had this narrative again and again, but it's misleading. It's not Mwai Kibaki who tried to sack William Ruto. It is Raila Odinga. Go and do that homework. Because when Raila Odinga tried to sack William Ruto and Sam Ongeri, there were 2 of them. They were told to stay put because Raila Odinga didn't have the powers to sack any cabinet minister. And they stayed put. It was not Mwai Kibaki. Please, let's not portray Mwai Kibaki as this, leader who left an exemplary legacy. He did not. And therefore, because they were scheming for the 2013 elections, so they wanted to antagonize Raila Odinga and William Ruto. Secondly, during Mwai Kibaki era, there was a minister called David Miraria, who was also caught up in a corruption scandal. So when pressure was piled against him to resign, Mwai Kibaki asked those who were agitating for his resignation, amekula mbuzi ya nani? Please, appraise yourselves with Kenya's history. Amekula mbuzi ya nani? That's what he asked. For those who don't remember, you can look for the NAC manifesto. They campaigned on the platform of infrastructure. And they promised that once they get into government, they will do all. Kenya's artery, as far as infrastructure is concerned, that highway from Mombasa to Malaba. Once elections were over, Mwai Kibaki had been sworn in, he shifted to Thika highway. If you don't know that, these things are documented. So it's important that we appraise ourselves with our history. Peter, I want to respond to Joy. Joy was embattled at some point. Peter, you cannot be personal when you are talking about a public figure. Please, let's be honest. If you're talking about somebody's homestead, you're personal, but you can't be personal when you're discussing William Ruto. You can't be personal when you're discussing Raila Odinga or Barack Obama or Donald Trump. These are public figures. How can you be personal? Morara describes himself as, I don't know, president of Inject Party or something. What is that? How is he a personal How is it being personal when you discuss him and even mention his name? How is that personal? It's not. It's not. So if you want people not to discuss you, don't get into the public realm. Then you can lay claim to privacy. I don't represent anybody. I don't lead any political party. I'm not a cabinet minister. I just do my own business. Why are you discussing me? But you can't be personal when you're discussing public figures. We discuss them even long after they've died, don't we? Because of the actions they did, the decisions they make, they still affect us long after they're dead. We mention them. We mention their names. So Joe should not be apologetic about that. It's imperative to name names when you're discussing state affairs, because those state affairs are presided over by individuals, and those individuals have got names. Pepita, the real Joe is being very magnanimous. I'm not magnanimous, really, Pepita. What I could say is that anybody who is following Morara is headed into oblivion, frankly speaking. Can you imagine Morara if he represents you? Morara in a room with William Ruto discussing and negotiating on your behalf. Can you trust somebody like that? No, this is a person who is leading your party. There is a crisis after election. So you say, go to that room and discuss with William Ruto. What deal is he going to extract on your behalf? No, you tell me, what deal? He's going to throw you under the bus. He's going to sell you short. And therefore, these people who are defending Morara, I think we talk about civic education going to mashinani. I think they stand in need of civic education. They do. It's not those mashinani people. Morara, you don't have to really wrap your head. Just reading the things he writes, what he says, he has no leadership qualities. He doesn't have what it takes to really take on these very formidable forces that are ranged against us. He doesn't have. He's very narcissistic. He's very puerile. He's very erratic. That kind of a person, how can they lead you? They can't. And we be scared of calling out Morara. Like, really, does that make that we consistently call out William Ruto, call out Raila Odinga, call out all sorts of people? You expect us to tiptoe and walk on eggshells when it comes to Morala? It doesn't make sense, really. Come on. It's not going to work. We call out all and sundry, irrespective of your station in life. And then Morala will not be an exception. So we must minimize sycophancy when we're handling these people. Just get rid of sycophancy. Hold these people accountable. Ask them all the questions that you can. That's when we can pride ourselves as working for Kenya that will be for the benefit of all. But when you put some people on the pedestal, these are holy cows. These ones are beyond reproach. You are oozing negative energy. Come on. Come on. We'll not be scared. And we cannot hold other people accountable to high standards when we cannot hold ourselves to high standards. It doesn't make sense. That's being childish, and we are not children. Thank you, Pepita.
Hey, jamani. Sasa ni hivi tutaenda. DK Gift, I saw your hand up. Sijui kama uko na kitu ya kusema kwanza kabla before I go on.
No, just go on. I'll
Aye.
after.
Sir, let me hear from Justice for All. Why were you waving like that heavily?
No, because I think it's becoming a misleading contest, which I feel we need to bring to order. Yeah, yes, Kibaki fired Ruto. Of course, I know where the confusion comes in is because, of course, those of us who found us from the time of the referendum, there's a time Raila tried to fire Ruto, and then, of course, was told he wasn't the authority. But after the courts ruled that there was he had a case to answer of fraud from the as a higher education minister, he was fired. So that information is accurate that he was fired by Kibaki. Ruto was fired by Kibaki. The other point that I wanted to contribute on, and as my last point, PP, is that indeed there is need for some level of structure. in whatever form it takes, even if it doesn't take leadership at the moment, there's a way to start having a structure, and that gives a direction. Like now, what the likes of the Real Joe are doing in terms of petitions and everything. How do we come in? And one of the other things that I've always tried to push for, and it doesn't have to be through your platform, someone else's platform can come in on how maybe some people who may not be boots on the ground, how can they even resource-wise contribute? Because as the movement starts forming, I think it's important to start thinking. It doesn't have to be executed right away. That's probably one I'll propose. I disagree quite a bit with Weston on the stand about Morata. He's not a public figure. Doesn't hold public office. I think it's something that is forming, and there are different people that are trying to come up now, trying to find. Once we make it a subject of discussion, I think it's becoming distracting. I don't think anybody is asking us to follow them or to join them in a way of like, join us for me to lead you. It's not holding any public
Ngoja
office.
wewe. What do you mean nobody's asking him to join him? He has a party which people will have to join. He's asking for people to give him money. He is telling people to go to him to Narok. So what do you mean nobody's asking him to be a leader? What are you trying to drive at here, Justice? He has already positioned himself as a leader. So you cannot be a leader and not a leader. You get it? Come on, Bana.
Okay. I raised that case over there. I don't want to discuss that because I just raised that case over there. Anyway, so my final word is that indeed we will, as things start forming, people can start their own ways, especially those who are who are lawyers and they are trying to either put petitions. How can we come in? I think that kind of education will help us. Those who are trying to do other things that support the movement without necessarily causing division, I think it's critical for us to other people to start partnering. And even if it's not like you are joining those people, but what value can somebody bring in? So in that way, it could be through expertise, could be through funds, could be through other forms of resource, so that we can support the movement to continue moving. Because it will take a while before all this starts merging and coming together into something. So for me, the way I'm seeing these different leaders who are holding, whether it's spaces and all that, I think they are running something, but they haven't matched yet to get to a point now we have a common goal to start saying now who is then going to lead us in this kind of joint movement. But I think now there are small movements here and there, and they're all doing an excellent work in terms of civic education and all that. All right, I apologize for misleading you on my prior statement. I think then that's inaccurate. My interpretation was wrong. So
yeah, I think we need to say this, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot be a leader and not a leader. If you show yourself up. I remember they were fighting about the name Kenya ni Home. Remember? Kenya ni Home. And the reason why is because one of Morara had already branded himself what? Okay, good. He had said the president. So huwezi kuwa president na wewe si president. Tuelewane wadau, tusikuwa watu venye Western Shila wamesema. Ukikuwa emotional, ukikuwa fanatic, una end up kukua kama majamaa wa ODM. Na mnaona venye walifanya. They don't think when Baba says jump, they jump fast. Unaona? Wale wenye walikuwa pale hivi, do you see what they're doing? That is how it starts. And I know of people who have even stopped listening to Home Run Pipi because we asked Morara, umekusanya hii pesa yote, so tuonyeshe venye unatumia pesa. And I was bashed. Anyway, nilitukana hadi na anko yangu, nishazoea. Isaac.
Pipita.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you so
Pipita?
much, Pipita. And I 100% agree with you. I have a class in the next few minutes, so allow me to throw in my 50 cents, if not 10 cents. Number one, I think Kenyans, we are a problem of our own, right? And I would like to throw in my sense of His Excellency, I don't want to say former deputy president, because I'm just confused when I woke up this morning to realize that things were done overnight and they've changed all of a sudden. So I still see him as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. You know, when Uhuru, no, not Uhuru Kenyatta, but when Ruto was actually appointing the deputy president, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, he still had a case. And if you guys remember very well, he was acquitted by the Anti-Corruption Commission. And this case was even in court and he was actually convicted. But now you see, at that point, no one actually saw that, as a way of, having a state officer getting into office when he has not actually been cleared of, corruption and so forth. And regardless, he became the deputy president. But now people can now start seeing, oh, he was not fit for office because of, whatever has happened and what the proceedings we've seen both in the House of Commons and the Senate as well. So as things are evolving, we see how we are corrupting even our own constitution that we need to hold as sovereign, the constitution that guide our proceedings and, how we elect our leaders and how they come to office. So you can see we become a problem, we become a stumbling block we don't let the constitution be the constitution, right? If I may drive you to maybe our constitution going back, I think it should be chapter 137 under the qualifications and disqualifications for election as president. Part 2 of B says when you're trying to nominate a presidential candidate, and in that case, by extension, deputy president, because they become as a unit, they work as a unit, right? He should not be holding public office, and I'm open for legal interpretation of this. I'm not a lawyer, and if we have lawyers in the house, they can tell me this guy should not be a public officer. Kindiki is a public officer, so I'm wondering how is he going to be appointed when he has not actually retired? That's something that has really been troubling me since I woke up this morning to realize that, oh, he's the person being fronted to be replace Gachagua. So you can see how we are mutilating our constitution without necessarily following it to the ladder. And I know we're going to have like different interpretation of this, but I can see we are maiming our own constitution. We are mutilating, and the word is mutilating our own constitution to fit our own interests. And that's where the problem is coming in. So, guys, here's the thing. When you become a leader, and I want to throw in something that now has come up with Morata. I was one of the critics of Morata right away from the beginning. And I saw business in what Morata is doing. To me, Morata is an opportunistic. In fact, I will even advocate for Eric Omondi because I've seen what Eric Omondi has been doing. I've seen even the money he collects, what he does with that particular money. I've not seen what Morata has done with the money he's collecting. I've not seen accountability for his money. Morata is someone who is very opportunistic and is seeking maybe offices in the future and is just collecting money from gullible Kenyans. And these are people we call opportunists. They take advantage of the situation. So with the Gen Z, when it began, these are people who jumped in on the bandwagon and they want to capitalize on that. And I'm not buying into any bullshit. I'm sorry, Pepita, to use this on your space. I'm not buying into this bullshit of Morata collecting money, saying that now I need a computer, now I need to go to Narok, please collect. And we don't know how many millions he's receiving from this without really advocating for it. I'm not going for that. This is my proposal, because some people say, oh, you're saying this and you don't have a solution. This is what I said in the space that I think that was being hosted by Miguna last week. This is what I say. We need to have, for us to be organized, and the thing of leaderless, I think we need leaders. And this is one way we can actually have leaders to avoid maybe personal interests that maybe are not accountable, the likes of Morata. We need to have sort of like a panel. We need to have like a sort of like a trust fund whereby we can even employ people, we can employ, accountants. When we throw in this money, even when we are getting money from diaspora, we need to have a trust fund where this money go, and we have a panel or a committee that actually govern these funds, and we can see the money coming in and the money going out. Even if we are going to do what you're calling civic education, we can employ people to actually do that and pay them with this particular money, rather than holding just one person to this money and we don't know what they're doing. So the reason why Kenyans are believing with this hula baloo, and to me, I call them snobby, contemptuous, imperious, hubristic, superlicious, cocky, pretentious people who are taking advantage of what is actually happening, taking advantage of the vulnerability of Kenyans at this moment, because Kenyans are very vulnerable. Right now, Kenyans are desperate to see anyone who can come and save them. That's what Kenyans are looking. So when they see someone coming up there pretending, oh, you know what, I can help you, I know what you're suffering from, or anyone who condemns Uhuru, I don't know why I'm saying Uhuru Kenyatta, anyone who condemns Deputy, oh my God, Ruto, he becomes the darling of Kenyans, because Kenyans have lost trust in the executive. Kenyans have lost trust in our leaders. You can see how interesting someone lives who is a governor, lives his own people, to come and offer pro bono services because he's saying, like, I'm fighting for the rights of Kenya. No, that is bullshit. Pipita, excuse my language in your space. This is the last time I'm using this word, because that just shows you how these people, they're wrecking us, how these people are taking advantage of this carcass called Kenya. Kenya is already dead. People don't have money. And in the run of all these things, people cannot afford to go to hospital. We do not have NHIF. I don't know why even we are getting rid of NHIF, which was somehow working. We are moving, you've been transitioned to shift, but right now you go to hospital with that shift, people be looking at you. What is shift in the first place? Because they don't know what that is, right? In the events of this, evolution of these events, our airport has been mortgaged. Now, it has been left to Adani. In the evolution of this event, you're being told, oh, we need to change the constitution to have a presidential term limit of not even presidential, even it goes back to the parliamentary term limit of 7 years. And I'm telling you, these things will come to haunt us desperately, because, Kenyans don't have even money. Kenyans are hopeless at this particular moment. And I want you to be very careful. People who are taking advantage of this desperate moment for Kenyans, to loot them more, to ask for money, and we cannot actually account for that money. And Pipita, you're one of the influencers. I would like you guys who are very influential people, come together. You can unify us. I want you guys to throw even one huge space where we can have even 1 million Kenyans joining, and we unify these people. This is the civic responsibility the likes of Pipita can actually do for us. Come together, join us, let's have a voice of reason. And when you're looking for leaders, we need to look for people being tested, people being tried, so that we can know when you're investing in these people, and we can also call for accountability. Don't throw money when there is no accountability. That is nonsense. There is no company will give you money and not ask you to account for it, because we just don't know what we are doing. Unless we are doing it out of volition to help someone without really holding them accountable. And I like what Pipita said. Once you are a leader, and or at any iota of evidence you declare yourself as a leader, then we have to hold you accountable, because you are taking responsibility. You are being accountable even for your followers. Excuse me. Man, I'm so much angry. So I think I'm ranting. I'm not even talking right now. But what I'm saying is that we need to come together, and I can see there is still hope. There is still hope. It's only that the few people we have already taken advantage of our country, and they're mutilating this country for the sake of their own gains. Can you imagine how the Senate was able to sit late in the wee hours of the night just to ensure that Gachagua goes home? I wish they could do that when we are talking about economic issues, when we are talking about the health issues that are actually ravaging us. If they could sit that late discussing these pertinent, fundamental issues that are actually affecting Kenyans, but they don't do that. You know, they know when their interest, because this is something that was predetermined. The Gazette notice was predetermined. So they're just doing this for formality purposes. This is something that was discussed long time ago. Gachagua was alone in this. But my problem is not actually Gachagua. It is how our system are getting corrupted. It's how our systems are getting erased. And this will be a huge problem.
1 minute, Isaac.
Thank you, Pipit. Actually, I will stop there, stop ranting, and listen to other people. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. We are in that town hall session of Fridays here on Home Run. People, thanks so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. It is quite an honor to have you here. And I see Nyara Dwayne has raised their hand, but I'm going to let my co-host first speak. DK, what up? Umeinua mkono juu.
Nilikuwa nimeinua mkono hiyo time. I think in that moment nilikuwa nimetaka comment the thing you were mentioning about like leader kujeka place a leader. There's a time, I think early in this week, either in this space or somewhere else, I talked about two ways that people become leaders in my understanding. You're either a leader because a group of persons who believe that you share the same sentiments, beliefs, and principles select you to be their voice, to represent them in certain spaces or places or what have you. The second way is a person who renders their voice to speak on behalf of other persons who he believes that they share the same sentiments and principles, etc. Either one of the two options makes you a leader. And at the end of it all, whatever it is that you're doing, saying, acting, and behaving, your action and inaction in every situation and circumstance will always have a significant impression on those persons that have stood out to say that you represent them, or they believe that you represent the same principles or beliefs that they have. And so one of the things that I've been having, not just with that one person that we've spoken about, but the challenge that I've been having with plenty of the young persons that are coming out as leaders is not looking at the fact that you have placed yourself in a time when nobody has selected any leaders. You have raised your own voice to be heard, speaking and saying the same as those that believe in you and that are following you. So why then would you not be careful enough with what you're about to say, or even think about delivering your difference in opinion in the rightful manner and packaging it in a way that allows the persons that are listening to you or that are following you to also appreciate either your difference in opinion or to have you or to engage them in a conversation. So if, for example, you want to stand and say that I am not okay with going to a certain place that you're planning to go because of A, B, C, D, if that is your thought and your opinion, have you taken a moment to bring that opinion to persons and listen to them tell you back what they think of you or what you're saying? That's the biggest problem you're having. And in the end of the day, when people are called out or when people are told or held accountable about the words they say, the actions they do, or whatever it is that they're engaging and delving themselves in, then suddenly someone stands up and says, you know what, shuka gari kama hausikii kukuwa kwa hii gari. It shows you the lack of the ability to be a leader, but all you are is just you're a mobilizer. You're just somebody who has the ability. Jamhuri, let me just land. Just give me a second. Let me land. You'll get.
I was just going to say, perhaps a future dictator.
100%. I was avoiding to say the word dictator. Thank you for saying it for me. But that's what I feel, because now all you are not a leader. You are just somebody who, I'm sorry for saying it this way, who has a mouth. And a mouth here in the sense of you have created a situation that has allowed you to speak and people are listening because of there's a circumstance you've created for yourself that has given you a mouth and people's ear to listen. But that does not make you a leader. And that is the one principle that we all have to start aligning with. Even if today my 960 something followers now start becoming 15,000 followers, does not necessarily just turn me into a leader. It is the principles and the things that I will say, I will speak, I will do, and I will show you that qualify me to be a leader. And lastly, the last speaker, I couldn't see the name, but they talked about the problem of Kenyans is that they actually they see someone and who's talking their language, they're saying he will rescue them, and they go for it. I call it, dear sir, Messiah seeking syndrome. That's what Kenyans are sick of. That we are always seated waiting for a Messiah to come and suddenly take us somewhere. And I said it jokingly the other day. We've been told by Raila Odinga jokingly that we're being taken to Canaan. I'm going to tell you straightforward. We are not being taken to Canaan by a Moses who's suddenly going to come, spin his rod up, split the sea for us, and we are suddenly on the other side. This is not a Messiah situation. We as Kenyans, we need to redeem ourselves from that. We are not here looking for somebody to save us. Save yourself. Get out and save yourself for your own self, not for anybody else. I yield.
All I can say, ladies and gentlemen, is you do not have anybody who is going to fight for you. You have to take part or just shut up. Western Shilaho, I thought you had a point of information before I go to the next speakers.
Hello, Pipita.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Western? Western, I'm a drop to Kimuita. Naradwen.
Thank you, Pipita. I acknowledge your time is running out, and this is my last time I'm going to speak. I wanted just to laud what I think it's Isaac or Justice, somebody who was like trying to tell us that we could. Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Wait a minute, Western. I'll come to you. Nyaradwen is submitting. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to laud, I think it was Isaac or Justice, somebody who was trying to come up with ideas of how we can have a direction towards this revolutionary movement. And my suggestion would be, Kenya, as we speak, is moving towards the drain. Secondly, we are all Kenyans, and all of us are involved in one way or the other. And I was thinking, you see all these professional bodies that we have architectural bodies, we have teachers' body, we have a farmer's body, each and every profession somehow, even the accountants like us, we have our body. And I was thinking, why, instead of looking for this leader that we don't know where the person is, who the person is, why don't we make use of these bodies? Because these bodies, there are contributions that are always done. We need money. A revolution need money to partake. And we could use the structures for the demo. or for the demonstrations, I think that's the right word. Because when we come to farmers, farmers have their things to talk about. When we come to teachers, we come to students, we have the HELB and we have Adani and the KAA, we have lawyers who basically feel the laws are not, our constitution is being drowned, and we are watching. We have old people with their pesa ya wazee. So how do we do it? We can agree on Monday. It is the lawyers taking lead. All of us as Kenyans, we follow from behind. Lawyers are everywhere in this country. So everywhere where there are lawyers, they all converge at the lawyer's office, the law office that is in that particular place, and all of us will live together as Kenyans. On Tuesday, we go to maybe old people, our old wazes, watoke kwa nyumba, just to send a message. And we will need media coverage here. That is just but an example, just to help Isaac or Justice, whoever mentioned this. And then I want to say that lastly, as I drop my lens for getting my next presidential vote goes to any presidential candidate, any, who is going to convince me and explain to me properly how he'll chase away Adani from our airports and energy sections, because the clause that have been put there in those writings, I believe you people read and you know them. It's very difficult. But I need a president that is going to chase these people away, and any other person who is bought our country, and anybody who's going to send the colonial powers away, the likes of Bill Gates. Sahi nimesikia amenunua karibu Machakos yote. So literally, what we are going to do, we have to ensure that the presidential candidate that is going to come is not emotionally driven. We don't want emotions, but you have to be clear on your mandate, on what you are going to do. And for me, it's, if you can convince me, Adani will go, and part of Kansas City is going to get back to us, I am fine. Thank you, Pipita. I yield my mic.
All right. Thank you so much, Nyara Dwen, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, pale viju kuna tip ja line. Ingekuwa si Obeds, leo tungeenda 0-0. Ingia pale hivi ndani and support the show, of course. Help us keep the lights running on this side of the studio. Yes. I see the one and only health OU. Anaitwa OU. Nani Western kwanza kwenda kutable evidence. Western alikuwa na evidence ya kwenda kuweka kwa meza. Alikuwa anasema kwamba eti Kibaki ndo alifuta Ruto. Huyu mwenye anasema Ruto ndo alifuta ni. Hebu tuambie Western, what are you guys saying? Unajua sisi tulikuwa wadogo, tulikuwa tuna watch news juu ya Edith Kimani.
Thanks,
Na
Pepita. Pepita, if you any simple Google search 15 years, 20 years, even 30 years from now will report on the happenings yesterday in Kenya's Senate and the other week in the National Assembly. These are news of not just public interest in Kenya, but of global interest. So the supposed sacking of William Ruto is 15 years ago. Surely it should have made headline news, not just in Kenya, but globally. So here we go. This is Reuters of February 14th, 2010. I will read verbatim. Kenya's Prime Minister, and at that time was Raila Odinga, suspended 2 ministers over corruption allegations on Sunday, after the president took the same action against 8 officials in moves that will please donors, but underline coalition divisions. It ends there. Prime Minister Raila Odinga said former ally, Agriculture Minister William Ruto and Education Minister Sam Ongeri should step aside for 3 months to allow further investigations into scandals in subsidized maize and education programs. Then we go here, another news from Mail and Guardian. This is a South African newspaper of 15th February 2010. That's the following day. The headline is Kenya, President reinstates minister suspended by PM. Kenyan President Mwai Kibaki on Sunday evening reinstated 2 ministers who had been suspended hours earlier over fraud investigations by his Prime Minister Raila Odinga. The president said that he had not been consulted and Odinga did not have the authority to order suspensions. Therefore, in quotes, constitutionally, the 2 ministers remain in office, end of quote, he said. So who tried to sack William Ruto? Who is it? How could Mwai Kibaki sack William Ruto, whereas William Ruto was a cog in Mwai Kibaki's succession, in the sense that without William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta would not have defeated Raila Odinga. How? How could he have sacked him? Facts. It's not revisionism. These things are documented.
Anakujanga na bahasha hivyo, evidence.
Pepitas, I knock off. I just want to end with this oft phrase that I hear: an enemy of our enemy is our friend, which means anybody who is opposed to William Ruto is our friend. I'm not so sure we can go like that, because even if you just look at that phrase, it's completely flawed. So let's say the enemy of your enemy is a murderer. Does that make him your friend? The enemy of your enemy is a genocider. Does that make him your friend? The enemy of your enemy could be a rapist or a psychopath. Does that make him your friend? It doesn't make sense. So it cannot be true that anybody who is opposed to William Ruto is our friend. No, it can't be. We don't know the reasons as to why you're opposed to William Ruto. Chances are they're not similar to ours. So we're not reading from the same script. Let us not lower the bar. We'll get into problems. Thank you, Pipita.
All right. Thank you so much, Western Shilaho. Jamu, what do you have to say to us?
Well, I'm going to try and make sure there's a connective tissue between what I say and what has been said before. I agree that simply being against Ruto is not a qualification ya kukua our leader. We cannot lower the bar that low. There's something real Joe alikuwa amesema earlier. We need to raise our bar. The best qualification for being our president should not be that you oppose the current president. Wow, no way. Alafu, we cannot use tactics za kukosa accountability while fighting for accountability. We're not simply looking for figureheads. We are looking for values. We're looking for principles. We're looking for systems that work. Now, ukituonyesha along the way that accountability is something that you're allergic to, we should not even touch you with a 10-foot pole. So I like Ville Western called it exactly as it is. Some of us may have been a little bit too diplomatic. If it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, I mean, just hakuna haja ya kuargue kama ni mbuzi, it's a duck most likely. Alafu kuna vitu, I think maybe we also need to check ourselves and become citizens of integrity. And I think a big part of integrity ni consistency, right? Haiwezi kuwa mtu fulani akiiba ni sawa, wizi ni sawa. Mtu fulani akiiba, wizi ni mbaya, right? Like we need to show consistency. Yes, I understand life is not black and white. It has its own complexities, and we can't run away from that. But to the greatest extent possible, I think we need to check ourselves and maintain consistency. Kulikuwa na kitu ilikuwa inaitwa Kenya ni home, and there was a big fight kafafo hapa hivi kwa TL. And the fact that branding had been stolen. Stealing intellectual property is something that we should take seriously. But tukaamua juni mtu fulani hiyo kwani Kenya ni wapi? We trivialized it, right? the whole idea of being Gen Z movement, Gen Zote, whatever you call it, that was something that already existed pre someone showing up and deciding to become our leader. But then they took that here. That to me is a form of stealing. The concept of civic education, ilianza wakati people even started to translate the finance bill into different languages. So that concept already existed, that momentum was already there, and then someone comes and decides, I am kind of the owner of this concept of civic education, na nitapeleka crusade kwa kule mashinani and do something that is very alike to what the likes of Ruto do wakati wako juu ya magari and call that civic education. Na tafadhali nipatieni pesa na sitawaambia mnanipatia ngapi. By now mnaweza kuwa mmenipatia hundreds of millions, lakini hamjui na sitawaambia for reasons that I decide are valid. And then there was this idea of inject, right? It was something core to the movement, and it meant something. It had a meaning. But then someone decides to show up and take it over. They didn't come up with it, and now they own it. Man, like this duck is not just quacking. It's not just walking like a duck, like hata iko na ducklings, right? Na bado tunaulizana kama ni duck. So I think we need to be more alert. We need to be so clear-minded, and I think perhaps kwa hii movement yote, the thing to safeguard more than anything else, at a personal level, and maybe even at small community levels, it's our minds, it's our hearts, it's our psyche. Tusikubali mtu ainvade hapo, because once we are violated at that level, tunaweza pelekwa to the sea. And we've seen that with preachers, we've seen that with all cult leaders, and so the moment our minds are violated and invaded, hatuna hope. Maybe one very quick last thing to say ni hii jina leaderless, ati tuko leaderless. See, we've been leaderless. Does anybody here believe that we were ever leaderless? I don't think we ever were leaderless. We were always, someone said, this is someone else's. Someone said, we were always leaderful. What leaderless simply meant leaderful. There was leadership in all kinds of corners, kila mahali, kwa soko fulani, kanisa fulani, university fulani. And because of that, we were very unpredictable. And that unpredictability made the government, really, we saw it with our own eyes. The government was confused. Inaamka leo inasema, hii kitu imefandiwa na Russia, hii kitu imefandiwa na China, kesho wanasema iko funded na US, iko Ford Foundation, ni Uhuru, ni Rigathi. Oh my God, hii ni Illuminati. Walikuwa confused because we were leaderful and we were that decentralized. I think that continues to be our strength. The moment we try to be herded like cows, like sheep, into one pen, it will take just one missile to completely decimate us. But the more unpredictable we are, the better. So I don't think, I'm willing to be convinced otherwise, but I am of the view that at no point was the movement leaderless. It was always and remains leaderful. Hii kitu ya watu kukuja kukua leaders is that they're trying to curtail the leaderfulness of the movement, to make kuikatakata, when actually it should proliferate. So that's my view. Asante sana Pipicha.
Thank you so much. Naona kuna mtu ameitwa Paul ameingia pale hivi kwenye Tibja. Thank you so much for that. I see the one and only anaitwa nani? Jina Instagram health something. How are you doing? Opio Uma. Ama nimemremove. hii wiki yani sitaki hata kuwa kwa spaces weekend because it has been quite a weekend, but of course on 20th I will be in Uhuru Park. Yeah, definitely must go there to represent. So yeah, kama utakuwa probably labda uko out of the country ama kwenye utakuwa to go represent for the Mashujaa, but I will be representing for the Mashujaa. Yep, that's what's up. Yeah. Naona nani mwingine, Ellis Hill ametujoin hapa. I'll go to Ellis, Luka Matoke, and then maybe George, as we call it, tonight at 10 p.m. for me on this side. Ellis, mambo.
Poa sana. Pipita. Niko nasikiza lakini bwana ile kitu na I can urge Kenyans bwana. Ile let's walk the talk. George ameongea vizuri sana. George amesema bwana, ile tusiwe whiners bwana. Now, okay, George is the kind of a guy who has to insult you so that you can prick your conscience. Not really insult you, to challenge you. Ili bwana uchemuke bwana. Na point iko hivi pipi. Look at this space tuko nayo. Uko hapa bwana, jamaa umestruggle almost 6 hours unauzi space tunakuja tunaongea. Katibu jakana kitu. So these people we are fighting so much for and talking about, these are political class of their own. Wakupata mashida zao, guess what? They come together. Sasa Raila is a flower girl wa Ruto, and is the same guy who was talking so crazy and harsh about Ruto ruining the country. Oh, his foot soldiers kina Orengo, see what? They're dancing Ruto's songs. So my point iko hivi, Pipita. Let's practice what we preach. And I like what George said. There's no way Pipita utakuwa naenda lalaja. Umetuorganize ka space kama haka, kama sasa umekuwa kama radio yangu. Kila pali naenda I turn on my phone. It's my KBC radio them days. Wakati kwa ni radio peke yake ilikuwa hapo. So I challenge, especially mtu wote umeongea leo. Eka 500 bwana. Kanjirika moja kwa Pipita bwana. How else can we support one another? Pipita has to be a president ili tumsupport. So it breaks my heart, Pipita. Wakati you keep on crying bana. Watu hamkusupport. Zote tunakusikiza, we can see your struggles, feeding us this information. But we have to start from where we are, supporting one of our own. Na tujua ma politicians, they are not there for us. Hii vita ya Gachagua na Ruto sio yetu. So don't get emotional about it. When Gachagua is a billionaire with a B, billionaire. How he got that money tunajua ni wezi. Anapigana na billionaire wenzake. Wote ni wezi. Watu wapigane huko. Because hakuna mmoja wao alisema Gachagua ashikwe. Hakuna. Ama pesa za umma zirudishwe. Hakuna. Ni biashara gani Gachagua alifanya ili to be a billionaire? Ni gani alifanya? Ama ni entrepreneur? You know my point I'm coming to. Instead of Sikatai, we need to talk about these issues. But let's not be emotional about it. And then let's support where our strength is. Support young people like Pipita venye Georgia alikosema, so that these young people, this Gen Z and millennium and even the Gen X wala taweza, basi waende to be running the next MPs, to be the next MCs, to be the next guys in that parliament. Because if you enjoy the empowerment to kama Pipita aende kwa kwao aland for MP, na sasa ili tukuja tuseme sasa hii National Assembly lazima we change Pipita na your friends. Who else tutamsupport? Kwa huyu jamaa bana hata za cabbage ni shida. Atumtolei hiyo tu na ndio nahisi bwana. Tumtolee bwana, to support these young men of ours. The conversation endelea poa. And nimwambie ukweli Pipita. That's what I want you to see. I brought a name sometimes back. Jamaa anaitwa sijui Naval. You know how much that guy serikali ya Kenya, anawalipa even in taxes in one month. Naval jamaa ya kuna hiyo conglomerate of companies. He's in Kenya, he's in Uganda, he's in Congo. These politicians fight for those people, those hao ndio wanatumikia. Huyo ni akienda kwa ofisi ya Ruto, hata akienda za Gachagua, hata waongei, what do you want? Anapatiwa kila kitu. The guy is paying 900 million Kenya shilling a month. Bele yake ya power. Hiyo material yote, raw materials of all these companies, za mabati, za cement, zinatoka wapi? Ni zetu. Those are the true owners of our country. Those are the true owners who these politicians are fighting for. Ili they keep on lining their pockets. na these IMF and all these donors. Huh? So our true owners wenzetu ni mtu kama Pipita. Tumsupport. Anyway, Pipita, have a good day.
Thank you so much for that, Bwana Ellis, as well. Yeah, watu wangu pale hivi nina insistingi kuambia kwamba my show is independent, and the independence of it comes with a cost. Inakuja with a cost ya kwamba now I can't go to a politician nimwambie yo niko na show hapa hivi ni support, ama niambie corporates, because corporates will be like, we don't like people swearing on your show, blah 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 blah. So we have tried as much as possible to keep it off grid. Na through that it has been basically through your support. Ukipenda kazi yangu naingia pale hivi juu 0721948229 is the support line to keep our show going. Na mimi naonyeshanga mkinichangia vizuri naonyesha ninataka kiti ndio hiyo. Yeah, so if you want me to be open, my budget is confidential. Yeah, security. Opio.
Oh, thank you, Pipita. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, thank you very much for this next opportunity. I just want to be very brief to maybe concur with the points that I made. There were two key words: one, going to the ground, and then two, substantiating the accusations. To begin with, when William Ruto was almost losing legitimacy during demonstrations, he found one opportunity, and the only way that he got the opportunity was to go back to the people. And the very moment that he got a gathering, some Kenyans section still cheering up to him, that restored a life. And he came back on top of the vehicles every now and then until today. So that's why I say, let us go back to the people. If we are serious youths and we know what we want, apart from organizing for concerts, going to the bare fields, gathering people there, people are maimed and killed, then we walk back home. No. It is high time that we go back to the people. No matter what directions that we are going to take, it doesn't really mean we must be rallied behind somebody that he or she's a leader or something. But I am saying, in every little point of what we can do as a people, as youths, as people who believe in this movement, let us go back to the people. That is where there is a problem. That is where there is power. That is where we can get full support to change this nation. Again, right now, I believe in supporting this show because you are performing a very critical role to help people air out their views. But again, I cannot blackmail myself and believe, again, that having believed in supporting the show, and then I come to doubt it again. Like now, when I sent this much, how has it been used? You see, we funded Raila Amolo Odinga during a session some years back. Barack Obama was funded in America. And so I don't believe if there is anything wrong funding Kenyan young people who really wants to change or who are agitating to change the nation. Because we are quite a number of times, youths have been misused by these politicians. When they come to the ground, they form goonism out of them, give them some little handouts, and then they turn to be wild animals against their fellow human beings, so that to create a space for melancholy of this kind of bad and rotten political reigns. We must wake up out of such nonsense. We must believe that when we want to change, we must remain very much independent as people. We must say now that if this person is going to fall because he does not have funds to facilitate this agitation, then we come to beckon him and help him or her to make us succeed. On my request, I will also request something that a fellow speaker had requested there, that if we can leave our ego aside, especially these influencers, if we can leave our ego aside and stop fighting of some pertinent issues like Kenya ni home. So I came up with this phrase, it is mine. And then we gather together, call a marvelous space like the one that you people did during June, which was attracting the media's attention, that 55,000 Kenyans have been online speaking, then I think we'll be going somewhere. But when we maybe try to in-house some of the things that we are making, like when I say Kenyan home, I make it mine, I start investing out of it, and then I don't see if such maybe promulgation is not an instinct of being an opportunity to the Kenyan, vulnerable Kenyans. But if we are going to leave all that, then we come together as a people, because I know we believe in one cause. The only strategies that we are using is what makes us to be tangled up and down. And the only different strategies that we are using is what makes this political class to destroy us. Because they have learned that they play divide and rule tactics that Ruto is seriously using, as he has used it even in Mount Kenya now. So I still believe, and I'm requesting all of us, that let us please go to the ground where people are. Let us tell the people that corruption is bad. Let us educate people the types of corruptions that are derailing our economy. Let us come and teach people. I'm a data specialist by profession. But if you look at even the systems that was rolled down to the Kenyan Trust around 2 weeks ago, Yashif and whatever, it is not fair. And if you come to the facilities, you realize that a good chunk of Kenyans have been left out suffering, especially the pregnant mothers. We have 18% of the total population of Kenyans in every facility. In fact, right now, every county is struggling with the reduction of teenage pregnancies rates. But if you come to each and every facility in a given county, you will find your data that about 18 to 21% of the people delivering in those facilities are teenagers. They do not have IDs. They have become pregnant. They must deliver. They don't have insurance fund. And then they are left to make payments by themselves. Remember, cost of payment has also been increased from 5,000 to 10,000 for SVD. For the CS, also increased from 10,000 to 30,000. So please, if we are out to demolish such kind of demonic acts that are being unleashed onto us by the politicians, we must avoid this random paradox and then come back and go to the ground and then make these people feel we are serious. We are not ranting. We are serious. And let us not look into flows from one place to another, one person to another. That when you have hosted a space now that is helping us to agitate and give our views, then we see it as being an opportunistic. No, that is the narrative we should run away from. Let us come together, call this accountability thing together when we are all in that basket, and then we see who is going to choose another direction to run away from being accountable amidst ourselves. But if we are just going to Pipita akikuja ametupatia space tunaongea, tunampiga. Yule akitoka ameenda mashinani, ameenda educate watu, tunampiga. And I mean, this is how government will get used of what they learn our tactics. They will demolish us, will be ranting, tutakuwa tunauliwa, na maisha itakuwa inaendelea.
All right. Thank you for that, Bwana Opio. George, do you have words for us as we are coming towards the end of this show?
It's more of a question, asking for myself. Somebody earlier here said that the people that they see, they are just leaders for their own selfish interest. Quote, we need to deplatform them. What is that? What is deplatform? Is it a new nigger class lingo for cancel culture?
I think it is that.
So these people have proven they are just the quintessential niggers. They are not here to build anything. They're just sitting there watching anybody rise, they shoot them down. It started with Osama, shot him down. That destitute Vipingo, whatever the fuck that guy is in Israel, Kibizo, they shoot him down. Now the prime president of the Gen Zs, they are actively right now in real time, in your own space, shooting him down. Talk of leaderless and brainless and tribeless. This is it. So when I was saying this is a whole new group of people that have demonstrated the same characteristics of the niggers in America, and therefore they are the nigger class Gen Zs, I was not wrong. Because every generation have had the people that lead them, and they have all rallied behind them. Whether it was generation of Desmond Tutu and Mandela and Susulu, whether it was generation of Sam Nujoma, whether it was generation of Mugabe, whether it's a generation of Museveni. Somebody here alluded to Museveni as if there is something to negate about Museveni's path to his reign in power in Africa. You don't know your history. You don't know how Museveni reshaped and structured Uganda. Those people, in a period of 5 years, they had more presidents than Kenya has presidents now. In a period of 5 years. Museveni is the one who stabilized that country. Museveni, when he had the energy, he is the one who stabilized Congo, the now called Congo Zaire, when he took off Mobutu Sese Seko. And then they brought Joseph. And then when he was not good for the country, they took him out. But now the country, the Congo Zaire has been invaded by so many foreign powers. He gave it up. Museveni is the one who stabilized Rwanda, as much as Rwandese don't want to talk about genocide. 5,500 Tutsi army marched southwards from Uganda and captured the city and secured the border with Tanzania. They are still in power today under Kagame. So I don't know what these histories you people, I don't know if you hear women gossiping about how these ruthless dictators and you amplify that and regurgitate that without knowing where these people are coming from. When you throw shades on somebody like Mugabe, do you know the history of where he has brought his people from? Or you just right now in 60-second cycle of news discovered he was a dictator, he must go. This is nigger class. You have destroyed each and every of the people who volunteered themselves to lead you. You are happy in leaderless and brainless. And therefore, you are the quintessential nigger class Gen Zs of Kenya.
Okay. Jamu?
Uh, I don't even know where to begin, but there's some of us for whom names like nigger don't exactly mean anything, right? We are moved by strong arguments, not ad hominem attacks. And that is definitely not a strong argument. I think for me, the danger of focusing on personalities is that we forget about systems, values, principles. We can put anybody, including a man with a coconut head. We will always have leaders, right? Like, and I agree, by the way, with George that for the most part, the history of people like Mugabe, Museveni, Kagame is oversimplified, and a lot of us, a lot of people are indoctrinated to think a certain way about those people without interrogating more complex facts. So to that degree, I couldn't agree more with George. But two things can be right at the same time. It can be correct that Museveni, for instance, did the work of liberation of Uganda. But it can also be true that 40 years later, the people of Uganda, too many of them, their aspirations and their chances for self-actualization are very, very, very low. and that is, again, part of considering and accepting complexity is to understand that Uganda operates within an international context. So I know that it's not simply a Museveni issue. But Museveni, as the head of state, head of government, bears a good amount of responsibility. And I think burying our heads in the sand and then, instead of actually having an intellectual conversation, start calling each other niggers, sellouts, cancel. But in many ways, George, you're engaging in the very thing that you purport to be condemning. And I agree with some of what you're saying, but I wish we can have a civil conversation because I think that's the way to move forward. I think I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
Wow. Luka Matoke, are you there? Final words before we call it a night. Ni kama Luka alienda kulala. Unajua nilisikia akisema awache nisije nikasema labda kuna mtu wake hapa atasikia. Acha tutoke hapo. So thank you so much Luka. Waseme kuna mtu kumbe alikuwa anarusha ndoano hapa kwa
Then ukuje hapo uchome.
especially kitu ya mtu naweza kuwa najua uko na mtu kumbe watu wengine hawajui. Anyway, the real Joe, give us your final words. I'm gonna listen to the real Joe and DK as I call it, and I thank you so much. Nimechoka watu wangu. Yesterday I did 15 hours and I can't do more today. I need to take a rest. So yes, the real Joe.
Thank you, Pipita. As I give my final remarks, I think having such a heated discussion and things like that is very healthy. That is part of democracy. I think democracy, freedom of expression is the bedrock of democracy. That is what it means to be, to have democracy, when we're able to express ourselves differently and have varying opinions. As I say that, something I want to point out is, one, anyone can hold the helm when the sea is calm. Anyone can do that. If you want to be a leader and your actions do not inspire others to dream more or to do more, you don't even have any grasp of leadership. When we question people who have interest in leadership, it is part of vetting. Pipita, I have been challenged not more than once, almost like 4 times on space. Someone just comes straight and say, "You, what are you doing? Go to the ground." And I have answered that question. And today I want to answer that question directly. Personally, me, Pipita, I have been very active. And I personally note this Gen Z movement. Pipita, I was on the streets since we started demonstrating for anti-IEBC. That is way, way back, 2017. We were demonstrating anti-IEBC. But I'll bring it closer. In 2023, we were demonstrating. Pipita, members of the Bunge, where I am a member in Jivanji, I create out of my busy schedule, unless I'm out of the country. But on Thursday, I attend Bunge la Wananchi at Jivanji, and we discuss these issues. And I speak consistently the same way I speak. And I try to educate my brothers and try to change them, to persuade them. It is part of going to the ground. But when we tell ourselves, let's go to the people, Pipita, we are the people. I mean, how many people are here on space right now? 112. Our quorum at Jivanji every day is about roughly the same number. Well, maybe 150 to 200. But of course, sometimes you get different faces. And that's what also happens on spaces. The people will not go to Jivanji, but the people will come to Pipita space as part of meeting and convening and talking. This is part of talking and meeting the people. If you have any alternative idea and think that going on top of the car is the only way to meet the people, I think you are wrong. But it is just my thinking. I mean, who am I? So this notion that when we speak here on spaces, we are doing nothing. I mean, do research. If you want to reach out to me personally and ask me directly what I do, I don't have to come here and brag about what I do. At the end of the day, when I come back and sit in my house, I try and see, did I create an impact? Every Thursday when I go and speak in our bunge, sometimes it is very hostile. At some point, we used to speak in those bunges and most of the people are ODM. I've been in ODM, but I was trying to persuade them. At some point when we were going to the streets, when I tried to persuade people, at some point when I first saw Kina Kasmel start joining the Jivanji Thursdays, at some point it was hostile because those people felt that we were anti-Raila. But we still spoke. We still spoke directly to them. We changed some of them. Pipita, I tell you, in 2023, we went to protest. I can mention to you people, members of our bunge, who were killed with their names fighting for this cause. It took the intervention of this bunge we collected money and we began. It is the only case against the 2023 atrocities at the East African Court of Justice, courtesy of Jivanji Bunge la Wananchi. So when we speak on spaces, try and evaluate and see. Don't just point directly and say, this person is doing that, this person is doing nothing. I know the effect of going to the ground. That is a way we are trying to shape public opinion. But not everybody will be in that ground as well. People are on the ground, yes. Is an avenue to try and persuade people, try and change, try and talk about issues. It is important. There are more than 5 people gathered. It is important to have, it is a discussion in itself. Let us not wish away ourselves here on space and say, no, space is not important. It is very important. If you know about digital activism, internet activism, Occupy Gezi in Turkey, I can mention to you so many other more. They have happened from these spaces, from internet, from social media. Even just the Occupy Parliament, it was from spaces. It was from social media. Don't wish away such movements. You might not know because you are not directly involved. When you tell people go to the ground, not going to the ground as well. Talk, look at yourself, evaluate yourself, what you are doing. What are you doing about these cases? What are you doing about Adani? What are you doing? Evaluate yourself first before you evaluate the other person. That is how you move. Don't throw the first stone. Don't start the war if you cannot finish it. If you want, don't start the war if you cannot finish it. And don't come. I was lectured in a space by someone in the diaspora, even having the courage to tell me that, you know, I'm living in a country that has a more mature democracy. I told, just in 1 month, the month of September, I traveled in 6 countries. You are glued to one country in the last 14 years, and they're telling me more mature democracy. And you are trying to lecture about a more mature democracy. Sometimes we just speak. At the end of the day, even if our opinions differ, respect has to stay. At the end of the day, even if we have difference in opinion, we still have to understand that the same problems that are ailing me are the same that are ailing you. We have to fix our nation. At the end of the day, even if we have trouble with each other, let us find a common ground in terms of fixing our country. We don't have to be friends, all of us. But if we are united by the atrocities that we are facing as a Kenyan people, that is enough. We are not brothers. We are not what? We are countrymen. Patriotism is part of being a countryman. Let us just be respectful to each other. But anybody who is taking up leadership, we will call you out. If I call you a conman and you are trying to be a leader, you're asking for leadership, and I call you a conman and you feel that is wrong, go and become a pastor where you want to be praised. In politics, we will call you conman, muwaji. We are calling Ruto all those names. Be braced for them. We will call you. We will call you. We will call you. Pipita Island.
Umesema hakuna huruma. Hey, Ellis.
Yeah. Pipi, iko hivi bana. Mimi hata siongei mengi. Vijana, especially Gen Z, msikuwe emotional. Unajua nini? Unajua mtu kaa George, is your father? Kusema ukweli. Ukiangalia age yake, umri wake na umri yenu ni kama mtu na sani yake. Na one thing George anafanya is exactly what you
Kidogo to Ellis Hill. I am nobody's father.
No,
Your father
you are being
is your
emotional.
father. Wait, one moment. Your father is your father. I am not your father. You are not my son. My son is my son. Go give. I'm not talking to everybody. Go give that respect to your father. I don't need your respect. I don't want your respect.
Okay, what I'm saying is, when nilikuwa nasema hivi. Nilikuwa nasema, the advice you are giving these young men is like, I've not said you are their father. Sijasema hivyo. Nasema is a talk a father gives to your son. And a very good example of that is to see the relationship of kama everybody knows them, hii space tunatumia ya Elon Musk na relationship na babake. Babake hakuwa anampembeleza. Actually, even up to right now, I mean, I don't think the dad baby is Elon Musk, even though he's the wealthiest man in the world. But it's that tough bringing, that tough talk, what almost anybody can think is an insult, which is not really, it's supposed to prick your conscience, it's supposed to prick your manhood. Because at the end of the day, me, I'm finishing this. Gen Z, now this is what you see. Now, George uliwaambia vizuri sana. Hii Gen Z, see ati iko something so new. You know, I'm Generation X, ndio. Lakini our time, kulikuwa kina Kitabu Imanyara, James Orengo, and there's so many. Those are university students then. Those are young people then. You know? So every generation, we are young people who fight the regime of the day. Lakini iko hivi. The problem, iko na Gen Z saizi, they are becoming too emotional. Now they are not learning the lessons of the past. So, and I think that's why you can make a big mistake whereby ask yourself, just take your time, think about it, reflect about it, and then guess what? It makes you a better person collectively, the way you handle your affairs, because this game has been there for a minute. So I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form George is their father, but I'm saying it's like a father talk to a son. Now, if you go, for example, in the military, you don't even oppose those orders. You are told orders, you do what you're told. Because why? It's the issue of life and death. If you see the guys now, the Palestinians fighting the Israelites or the Russians fighting the Ukrainians, they're at war. So whatever they're told by the front line, their commanders, they do it because it's life and death. So you guys, Gen Z, and even the Kenyans who want to change this country, it's going to take life and death situations. And sometimes you have to take hard talk, hard criticism without being emotional and without personalizing some of these things. Mwanaume unachukua orders, una match. Hiyo nilikuwa nasema tu. Anyway, sawa pipi.
Gift, then Jamu, and then I'm gonna call it a night. Nimechoka wadau.
And people, because tunataka kufunga, I know you just said unaongelesha Jamu last. I'm actually not trying to share sentiment. There's something I want to try and bring attention. If you could please allow me for a minute. There's a young man who I believe has also been a listener before PP. His name is Hems. Hem with a Z at the end, TMT. You may recognize his handle. He's ever spoken to us before, I believe. As we speak right now, nobody knows the whereabouts of Hems for a very long time. And he just got raised up a couple of hours ago by some of the friends who've been able to also realize this. So, people, with your permission, I know you've just spoken of closing it with Jamhuri. I want to borrow your permission, please. I will not even give my last words. If you could allow me to please allow either Fabish or Grace to talk to us with some bit more detail, either one of them. Because I think it would be good. There are some of us who are here who've also spoken to him before, and it would be good for us to just raise it because it's one of us, if that's fine. Pipi, you're there?
I've been trying to get Fabish. That's why I put you up co-host to the Revocum letter. Try to bring Fabish on.
Okay, sawa. Let me see if I can. Yeah, there you go. All right. So, like I mentioned, I just wanted Fabish to be able to give a bit more detail. I think he may have some more than I do. Fabish, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, DK.
Please go.
Yeah,
on.
thank you so much. So, without wasting time, I want to bring attention about one of our friend, our brother from the coast, anaitwa Hems, jina ile ambao anajiita kwa Twitter, but his official name anaitwa Hamdun Abdi. Hamdun Abdi, we cannot trace him currently. Wale ambao tulikuwa tunaongea naye kwa WhatsApp yake inachukuliwa na watu differently, ambao wanasema kwamba all of a sudden they say they don't know the person. They are asking of his pictures. If you send these pictures, they say, no, we don't know this person. We don't recognize this person. So that is why it has created some kind of suspicion. Tunajua kwamba yeye pia amekuwa very active in these spaces, criticizing this regime. And as we know the trend of this country, that when you criticize too much, anything can happen to you anytime. So that is why we are raising it as alarm, so that we can be able to, amplify the message. If we can tweet and retweet until we get his whereabouts. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Fabish. And to just add to it, if you'd like to know who he is and how we can be able to just amplify that more, please, if you haven't followed me, just follow my page, the DK Gift.
Oh, yeah,
You'll find
and I already sent to DK Gift, and I think to Pipita and also to DK Gift. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. At least that was the only point I wanted to raise. And kumalizia tu ndio ni drop. Kindly just 30 seconds. Nikuwa tafadhali. The betrayers were movement, we are going to deplatform all of them. We need to deplatform them. We need to deplatform Akina Morara. We need to deplatform Akina Kimuzi, the sellouts. Thank you so much.
So right there,
All right.
Pipita,
George,
what is the platform?
George,
Just explain what that is.
George, let me finish my word, then the Pipita will give you a chance if he will. As I was saying,
Macha Fabisha and nilikuwa nataka Fabisha mjibu because George had asked a legitimate question. But continue, DK.
Well, Fabisha may drop, so unfortunately. As I was saying, if you'd like to find out detail on it, please check my handle. The last tweet, I'm actually not going to tweet for a while, so you can find that and guys can find that. My last tweet, please find it and please help us to repost it and push it as much as we can. I can vouch for the fact that I've also personally WhatsApp. I've tried to WhatsApp that number. I've not gotten any response yet, but I have WhatsApped with him before. And so, yeah, we need to help with that. Lastly, if you're not rightful for the movement, you're not rightful. If you want to speak for the people, then you have to be ready to be accountable to people. You will be called out for who you are, for what you stand for what you believe in, for how you act, for how you enact. That is how it's supposed to be. Thank you very much and have a good night. PP to you.
Jamhuri, then I edit. Hey, nimesema end it kutoka 9:30.
Aki, I'm so sorry, and I'll keep this extremely brief. Can I attempt to answer George hata kama si mimi nimetumia jina the platform?
I would love that, yes.
Okay. So this is my interpretation. It could mean anything. I think we're trying to deplatform Ruto. So deplatforming ni kuondoa from a platform, right? So if you have pledged loyalty to someone and all of a sudden ni kama anaenda njia hafai, you retract your loyalty. I don't think that's necessarily a communal affair. I think that's an individual affair. Is to say, if you are a point of attention or a center point, we are decenter. I mean, by choice at an individual level, I can choose to decenter you from my discourse. So I don't think I really don't think we need to split hairs about that. I don't think it really matters what nomenclature we use for anything. Voting out someone can be considered deplatforming, etc. But the reason I had raised my hand, Niju, I'm hearing language that is one, ill-premised, and two, unhelpful. Hii kitu ya kuambia watu waache kukua emotional, I can't understand it even for a moment, because kukosa emotions ni kukua a psychopath. And these people who are shooting people left, right, and center, is it not for being heartless, right? I don't think I would be in the movement unless I cared, right? I can just look out for my interests and just, and just leave it there. But I care about myself, I care about my family, I care about my country, I care about my children, my future children. And so, yeah, I mean, it is in every sense an emotional affair. And so I'm worried that hii kitu ya kushinda watu wakiambiwa waache kukua emotional, I'm not very sure that it's necessarily helpful. I'm not even really sure what it means, if it does mean anything. So I just wanted to say that. Again, hii kitu ya alafu, someone just said something ati wanaume wanaambiwa tu fuata hii direction and you just use your direction mkiambiwa na leader wenu. And I'm thinking, no, hiyo si kukua mwanaume, hiyo ni kukua a slave. And if we're going to emancipate ourselves mentally, hatuwezi kuwa na mentality ya ng'ombe, ya kuambiwa tu tufuate njia hii tunaenda. I think there has to be, I think critical thinking has to be a core component of this movement. Because after all, it could be argued that Bwana Ruto alifanya public I mean, what do you call it? Civic education wakati alikuwa anafanya campaign. And it could be, I mean, why is it Anyway, let me. I think I don't need to overemphasize my point. I think I've made my point. Asante Pepicha, sorry for keeping you so late.
Right, asante sana George. Sasa mkono unaekea nini juu bwana? George, are you there? Where is this kid, George? Talk to me, George. Ni kama tulishapoteza George. Hey, kwani mic yake?
I am here. I just wanted to correct, and I don't even know English. You can tell by my Kikuyu accent. The opposite of emotional is not sociopath. The opposite of emotional is logical.
Okay,
Things that
the
are
language
real.
problem is because it isn't.
Logic.
Haya,
That's a language issue.
Naambia hii class tunasoma hadi. Tukutane ni Monday. Okay. Sunday Uhuru Park.
5, 4.
Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunakaa kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako.
Nasikia watu wanasema baba ametusaliti. Between baba kutusaliti na sisi kusaliti baba, nani amesaliti mwingine?
Inapeangwa, it mostly goes to foreign ministries. So Baba is overqualified for that position.
To build this railways for Africa. So now he's thinking about tumemkataa kama baba wetu.
Unaweza kuwa kuna mtoto ulizaa, ukapatia nchi, ikuwe inamfanya vile inataka.
Uhuru has been working very hard. Ruto akaenda huko na nguvu. Ruto was never invited in the inauguration.
Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye Sound Candid Talk.
Open Forum Political Discussion Show. The show that gives an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development.
Tukutane Sound Candid Talk.